If we come to next level of high latitudes, we will have the forest ecosystems. So in the forest ecosystem also, like we can divide the forest ecosystem into three types: tropical forests, temperate forests, and coniferous forests. Simply to say, taigas. So let's start from the taigas point of view. So we are coming from high latitudes to low latitudes. We are moving in that direction. So first, what about the coniferous forests? Other name for coniferous forest is known as taigas. Taigas are also known as boreal forests. Okay, so boreal forests or coniferous forests or taigas. So all are one and the same. So you have to remember the terminology and nomenclature. Okay, so here, if you talk from the perspective of description of taigas or coniferous forests, what are they means? At the above to coniferous forest, we will have tundras, and below to that we will have temperate regions. Okay, so now you look at here. So what are coniferous forests or taigas means? It is sandwiched between tundra to the north and temperate forests to the south. Now can you picturize where they would be? So simply to say, if we talk from the coniferous forest point of view, so at the high latitudes we will have tundras, and around 23.5 degrees to 66.5 we will have the temperate forests. So taigas would be sandwiched between these portions. So they would be there in and around 60 degrees or like 50 degrees to 70 degrees latitudes. So 50 to 70 degrees, that would be the location. So usually they will be sandwiched between tundras and temperate forests. So that's how we have to keep in mind. So then, if you talk from other important aspects of it, so where they are distributed. So where they are distributed means usually they would be stretched across the North America, Europe, and Asia. That means the entire belt we can see the presence of taigas or coniferous forests. And what about southern hemisphere? Can we expect coniferous forests or taigas in the southern hemisphere? What do you say? So how many of you say no? How many of you say, can coniferous forests be extended to southern hemisphere? So some of your friends are saying no. So how many of you support their statement? No, no problem. Be confident. Even if it is wrong, we will be learning. Okay, let's see. Usually, if you talk from the coniferous forests, they would be in between, as I was saying, 50 degrees to 70 degrees north and north latitudes. So here you see this region, like this is 45, so roughly you can have 50 here. So from 50 to 70, so this stretch would be the 50 to 70. So here, okay, okay. So if you see here, so this region, so if you see, this would be 50 degrees and this would be roughly around 70 degrees north latitude. So can you see this stretch? So this stretch has vast land area. So as there is presence of vast land area, we can expect the presence of coniferous forests or boreal forests or taigas in the northern hemisphere, and that would be extended across these regions. Like we will have Canada region, we will have Eurasia. So in all these areas we can have, so Europe and Asia. But now you see same thing from the southern hemisphere. Now this is 30, this is 45. So from here it would be around 50. Okay, 50 degrees and 50 to 70. So now you take it till 70 here. Now you look in this area. Can you expect any land portion? No land. So without land, how can vegetation be survived? Without land, how vegetation can exist? Are you able to follow that? So look at this region. So this region is entirely with water. So as there is no land in this region, in the southern hemisphere, in between less portion of land in between 50 degrees to 70 degrees south latitudes, taigas are not present. So taigas or boreal forests are confined only to northern hemisphere in between 50 degrees to 70 degrees latitudes. So this categorical statement you have to keep in mind. Okay, so why there is no taigas in southern hemisphere? Due to lack, yes, absence of land or lack of land. So that is one thing. So now can you able to visualize it? Keep it in mind. So this is the reason taigas are extended only to northern hemisphere. So this thing you have to keep in mind. Okay, so can you remember that? Very important point. Whereas in our tundras, we have already tried to understand that taigas, tundras can be extended into southern hemisphere also, because we are talking beyond 70 degrees. Beyond 70 degrees, we have Antarctica. So Antarctica, it holds slight amount of vegetation because it's a land portion. Although it is covered with frost, but still there some small kind of life can be existed. So likewise, so that is one thing. So if we talk from distribution point of view, so taigas would be absent in the southern hemisphere because of the narrowness of the southern continents in high latitudes. So you remember this thing. So you have to remember that one. And what about the abiotic components? What kind of abiotic features we can see? So if you see, there we can have well-defined seasons. Well-defined seasons means seasons can be clearly demarcated. So how they would be, as they are at high latitude, still temperatures would be low. So from that, we can have prolonged bitterly cold winters. That means winters would be cold and winters would be bitterly cold. So that is one thing. And how about summers? Summers would be short and cool. Cool, short summers. So that would be the characteristic of summers. Yes.
So when it is short, cool, and long bitterly cold, how do we say that they are very different?
Yes.
We need to differentiate between them.
So when we compare it with the tundras, in tundras we cannot have that clear demarcation. So you can have that variation. So it is in between 50 degrees to 70 degrees. So amount of sunlight or insolation that is reaching would be more when we compare with the tundras. So here we can see such variation, seasonal variation. So that's how.
So we can say that
Yes. Okay, so likewise. So that is one thing. And here also we can see some of the local winds, like for example, blizzards. Blizzards are like burans. So such kind of local winds also can be present in this particular region. So I hope you might be aware of local winds, various local winds. So Fohn, Mistral, like blizzards, or like loose. They're all nothing but some of the local winds. So you have to learn that from geography section. So in this region, we can have some of the local winds also, like for example, blizzards or burans of Eurasia, likewise. So then, what about the precipitation? So rainfall. So rainfall is well distributed throughout the year. So if we talk from the tundra's point of view, what about the precipitation in tundra? Yes. Yes, it was very low. That means scanty rainfall we have observed in tundras. But here it would be well distributed. That means though it is not very high, but still it is well distributed. So well distributed rainfall or precipitation we can see. Okay, so that is one thing. And then what about the type of soils? So there when we see from tundras, soil was permafrost. It was continuously covered with frost or ice. So here type of soil is known as podulized soil. Podulized soil means, again, the podul is a Russian word which generally we can have if you translate it to English, it would be like under ash soil. That means if you look at the soil nature of the soil, it looks like the lower layers looks like whitish ash like appearance. So we will call that kind of soil as podulized soil, podules. Like we have classification of soils. So you have to learn this again from geography. So have you heard about different types of soil? Like if we talk from types of soils, so there you can see, like we will have one thing called United States Department of Agriculture, so USDA. So USDA has classified various soils into different types, like let's say lentisols or latisols. Likewise, you will have different types of soils. So look at, once go through USDA's classification of soils. So there you will get such terminology: lentisols, latisols, like podjoles. So such statements, such type of soils you will get. So go through that so that you will get the terminology likewise. So here we were discussing about the podjoles. So what are the important characteristics of podjoles means? Podjoles means these are nothing but a type of soils which are usually acidic in nature, and they would be excessively leached and deficient in minerals. Okay, so one thing that we have to keep in mind, they due to excessive leaching away of the nutrients, washing away of the nutrients or percolation of the nutrients, so usually they would be deficient in the minerals. Okay, so as there would be excessive leaching, like all the saline content would be leached away, so that the soil nature becomes more acidic. Okay, so soil would be acidic in nature, it would be excessively leached, and it would be deficient in important minerals. So that is another important thing. So then what about the flora and fauna? What kind of vegetation we can see, and what kind of um, uh, animals we can see, flora, fauna we can see. So if you see, usually conifers, you might see, you can visualize like the Christmas tree, how Christmas tree looks. So in the similar fashion, in a conical fashion, coniferous trees would be there, as this region is dominated by conical shaped trees, like triangular shaped, conical shaped trees. So we will call it as coniferous forests, or that would be dominated. So likewise, trees would be conical in shape, so dominated by conifers, and they will have thick, leathery and needle-shaped leaves, and thick leaves and leathery leaves. So that is the description of the coniferous trees. So in the images, you can find out how they will look like. So what are the examples for them? So examples would be like pine trees, fir trees, spruce, and larches and Cheer, pine, fir, spruce. So all of them are coniferous trees. Okay.